Welcome to CAB University, the video training series of the SRS Citizens Advisory Board. In the CAB U series, we will help you explore some of the basic information required to understand the workings of the Savannah River site. During the 1950s, the Savannah River site, SRS, began producing materials used in nuclear weapons in support of the nation's defense programs, primarily tritium and plutonium-239. 5 reactors and numerous support facilities were built to produce these nuclear materials. SRS produced about 36 metric tons of plutonium from 1953 to 1988. In the early 1990s, a change in mission shifted SRS focus from reactor and nuclear materials production to environmental cleanup and management. As a result of the nuclear material development activities at SRS, efforts are now underway to assess and remediate soil, groundwater, and surface water waste sites, as well as to safely deactivate and decommission excess facilities across the site to protect human health and the environment while meeting all regulatory requirements. This critical task is accomplished by using project management principles, a core team approach for decision-making with stakeholders, and cost-effective and innovative technologies. The target of remediation efforts at SRS is to reduce the footprint of legacy waste. Since approximately 2003, extensive cleanup and closure work has been completed at SRS under a concept known as area completion, which streamlines and accelerates the cleanup process. The SRS Area Completion Project, ACP, has removed excess facilities and remediated soil and groundwater in an integrated fashion, with the full support of DOE, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, Region 4, and the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. ACP focuses on cleaning up contamination in the soil and groundwater by treating it using a variety of techniques, or the source of contamination is immobilized to slow migration. Remediation efforts range from the installation of a cover system over waste sites to the installation of efficient groundwater treatment units. Although a wide array of remedial efforts have been employed at SRS, each strategy shares a common commitment to make field work a top priority. Field work includes closure of inactive seepage basins, rubble pits, rubble piles, and disposal facilities. Major groundwater cleanup systems operate extensively in nearly every site area. More than 375 of SRS 515 waste units have been completed, with more than 2,000 regulatory milestones safely met. Deployment of numerous cost-effective technologies expedites the cleanup process. Typically, soils will be remediated to an acceptable residual risk for industrial workers. Groundwater will be addressed in a manner such that required cleanup levels approved by regulators will be achieved over time. Units at which waste is left in place will be under institutional controls that feature access restrictions, inspection, maintenance, and long-term stewardship monitoring. Remediation is being executed in a fashion that completes environmental cleanup and facility decommissioning area by area until all areas at SRS are completed by 2031. The deactivation and decommissioning program results in the transition of facilities to their final state. Because many of the excess facilities contain hazardous or radioactive materials, facility deactivation must ensure the facility is in safe condition before material removal can commence. Facility decommissioning entails the physical removal of a facility or its dispositioning in place. To date, administrative, radiological, and nuclear facilities have been decommissioned. Since remediation efforts have begun, the footprint for environmental management at SRS has been reduced by 265 square miles, an 85% reduction. Remedial action has been completed at over 75% of the 515 inactive waste units and over 25% of 1,126 excess facilities. In full compliance with state and federal agreements and regulations, as well as DOE orders, SRS conducts extensive environmental monitoring to determine if there are any impacts from SRS operations to the surrounding communities and environment. In addition to the environmental monitoring activities conducted on the site, SRS also monitors a 2,000 square mile area beyond the site boundary. Approximately 9,000 environmental and groundwater samples are collected annually both on SRS and in neighboring cities, towns, and counties located in Georgia and South Carolina. The samples are checked for radionuclides, radioactive atoms with an unstable nucleus, metals, and other chemicals that could be in the environment because of activities at SRS. In addition to those associated with SRS, many of the radionuclides occur naturally or are present because of other activities and have nothing to do with SRS operations. SRS collects more than 5,000 samples of air, water, soil, sediment, food products, fish and seafood, wildlife, plants, and trees each year. Additionally, the Department of Energy funds a grant to the state of South Carolina so that they can independently engage in their own monitoring of the site and surrounding areas. The results of all the monitoring conducted by SRS is compiled and explained in the annual Environmental Monitoring Report and released to the public. The Savannah River Site, SRS, began publishing the yearly SRS Environmental Report over 60 years ago, and the report was first made available to the public in 1959. Though packed with technical information, a lot of effort goes into making it readable by the general public. In recent years, SRS has consulted independent citizens and community action groups for suggestions on how to make the report more user-friendly. This report is a great tool in communicating to the public the efforts taken to keep the environment as clean as possible. Every environmental monitoring report since 2001 can be found on the cab.srs.gov website. Another great asset at SRS assisting with environmental research is the Savannah River Ecology Laboratory. The Savannah River Ecology Laboratory is a research unit of the University of Georgia located on the Savannah River site. The laboratory pursues basic and applied research at multiple levels of ecological organization, from atoms to ecosystems. SREL also provides opportunities for graduate and undergraduate research training and service to the community through environmental outreach. Throughout its 50-plus year history, SREL has strived to acquire and communicate knowledge that contributes to sound ecological stewardship. Cleanup activities at SRS are regulated by both the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the state of South Carolina through their Department of Health and Environmental Control. These agencies work in conjunction with DOE and SRS through a tri-party agreement called the Federal Facility Agreement, or FFA, to reduce risk and accelerate SRS environmental cleanup. The FFA integrates the requirements of the two major laws driving environmental cleanup at SRS: the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA, which establishes a system for tracking and managing hazardous wastes from generation to disposal, and the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, CERCLA, or Superfund, which addresses the protection and cleanup of the environment from known release of hazardous substances. The FFA, effective August 16, 1993, specifies how SRS will address contamination or potential contamination at waste units in accordance with RCRA and CERCLA requirements. It includes the administrative requirements, enforceable schedules, and milestones for actions and documents. Every year, Appendix E of the FFA gets reviewed for changes. These changes may lengthen or shorten the proposed closure dates of the facilities and some of the SRS liquid waste tanks. Through the implementation of the FFA, SRS effectively executes work with EPA4 and South Carolina DHEC to streamline and accelerate cleanup activities at the Savannah River site. Thank you for watching this informational video about facilities disposition and site remediation. Please complete the upcoming survey to test your knowledge about the material covered in this video. If you would like to read additional material about projects within this video, please check out the public fact sheets at this address.